I may be moving away from collecting Star Wars figures, but when they make a character I really enjoy, and more specifically, they make a very good figure of that character, I'm always happy to check it back out just one more time. From Star Wars The Black Series, this is Ayla Secura, a Clone Wars era Jedi who really has always been a fan favorite. I don't know where it all started, but there's so many great appearances from Ayla that's not necessarily from the Clone Wars cartoons. Even though she had some great spotlight episodes in there, including one where she helped Ahsoka realize the need to be able to let go. What is more interesting about Ayla Secura is really the expanded universe stuff. The comics where she was the apprentice to Quinlan Voss and some of the really outright horrifying adventures they went on. And my personal favorite, the fact that Ayla and Bly were the first Jedi clone duo who could be better described as friends as opposed to general and soldier. That's still one of my favorite relationships in all of Star Wars, is just the fact that Ayla and Bly became so close, basically brother and sister, to the point where when Order 66 came down, Bly only did it because the chip convinced him that it was the only way to protect Ayla from having to essentially suffer for the rest of her life. It's stuff like that that makes these characters feel more interesting and this universe feel more full, and I kind of hate that they've never really delved more into that. Take a closer look, and I really like that head sculpt. I suppose that this is going... Well, Ayla's from the live-action movies, aren't they? I forgot that they were in the movies, yeah. I'm sure that looks dressed like the actor. I was about to say, oh, it looks kind of like they do in the comics. And then I realized, no, they have an actor that they're probably pulling from. The outfit's cool. I don't really like the asymmetry. I'm also not a huge fan of the color brown. But I do like the sculpted detail of the leather for the sleeve. As for, the blue, I think it's actually a good contrast to the brown. It makes the character kind of pop off the shelf. And then you get into articulation, right? So you have a good ball joint at the head, universal at the shoulder that's a bit stiff. You have the weird Black Series elbow where it's we don't want to do a double jointed elbow. We just want to do single jointed to make that deep. And whatever, bro. Universal at the wrist. And my favorite thing is they have the bend to go forward and back as opposed to side, which for sword-wielding characters is so much better. That's a great call. You have a middle joint there. You have oh, no, you don't either. You don't have any rotation at the waist. But you do have a universal at the hip. Yeah, thigh cut. A double-jointed knee. That's a bit stiff. A boot cut. Doop, doop, doop. And a little bit of up and down at the ankle. No rockers, though. So, the articulation isn't spectacular in terms of actual points, right? You can definitely get into some cool poses. But this is getting into, a larger problem I have with Hasbro as a whole, especially their Star Wars figures, where it feels like they're just cutting out as many points of articulation as they can. And, I don't know, man. A big reason why I like figures is I want to get them in unique, diverse poses. And if I had to choose between, I don't know, Ayla having burgundy pants and the rest of her outfit be brown and we lose the waist joint, or we keep the waist joint and it's just a fully brown outfit, I think I'd prefer to keep the waist joint. But overall, the figure is very solid and easily the best Star Wars figure I've bought in probably the past few months. In terms of accessories, Ayla does come with their lightsaber, which is nearly broken right out of the box for me just because clear plastic just does not last. They could have done something cool here and done the original Battlefront 2, give her the green lightsaber, and then it's kind of a callback to that piece of media where I think a lot of people first became aware of Ayla Secura. That's not the direction they went in, but this is fine. At least we got the one lightsaber, I guess, though I'm sure if Hasbro found a way, they'd probably find a way to cut that out too. In terms of the figure, right? As much as I like it, as much fun as I'm having with it, do not get me wrong. The joints feel so brittle. There's already stress marks on the elbows and the ankles for me. And I don't know, man. I don't have this issue when I'm messing with Mattel figures, right? I don't have this issue when I'm messing with Jakks figures or, I don't know, McFarlane figures. Hasbro figures, I don't want to be the person just constantly crying, oh, Hasbro's ruining it. I don't have this issue with the Transformers. I don't have this issue with all the Transformer figures I get from Hasbro. It's just their 6-inch lines. It's just Star Wars and Marvel Legends. And I just don't think I want to collect them anymore. I might keep doing like this. Every time I have a character come out that's like Ayala, where it's just, I really like this character, I'll pick that up. But I'm not even doing that for Marvel Legends anymore. It's gotten to a point where it's like, I just don't care. I'd rather have no Marvel figures than these figures that I'm just or convinced are going to break on me. So, that's where I'm at with this collection. And I'm not saying that to diminish anyone who loves Star Wars. Please don't take it like that. I will always love Star Wars. It's always going to have a place in my heart. But at the same time, I realize that my Star Wars is the animated stuff. Specifically, the animated Clone Wars stuff. That's Star Wars for me. That's where my fandom for Star Wars, that's my love of Star Wars. That's where this passion comes from. The Tartakovsky and Filoni stuff. The movies just don't appeal to me much more. Not as I've gotten older. And that's not just the Disney movies, that's all the movies. And even though shows like The Mandalorian were fun, I don't have much love for that either. I like the Bad Batch cartoon, but that's because it's Filoni Clone Wars. It's a thing where I'm realizing maybe Star Wars isn't for me anymore. At least not right now. And that's fine. That's beautiful. You want to know the reality of something is, as I've gotten older, there's things that I used to love that I don't love anymore. There's things I used to hate that I adore now. And some things, my love only grew as I got older. You know, I'm looking at this now. This Koopa Troopa. I have so much more love in my heart right now for this Koopa Troopa than I do this Ayala Secura. And it's not because that's a better figure. It's because at this point, Mario means more to me. I have more fun with Mario. I love that setting more. I love the characters more. It's just a reality of growing as a person, growing as an adult, growing as a collector, growing as an individual with interests and passions and hobbies. Star Wars doesn't have to be for me. Star Wars doesn't have to be for anyone. I'm so happy that there's so many people who love Star Wars and get enjoyment out of it and find a home in the fandom. That's something I hope everyone gets to experience one day. Just being embraced by people who like the same things you do. But that doesn't mean that I'm entitled to always being in love with something. So, maybe it's time I leave Star Wars behind. But it'll always be there. The stuff I enjoyed's always going to be present. And maybe sometime down the line, after I've had some time to kind of move away from the franchise and come back to it, I'll fall back in love with it. But until that time, maybe it's time to stop collecting, at least Star Wars. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm happy for it. I'm happy that I'm at this place where I don't have to feel angry. I don't have to feel betrayed because a franchise did something I didn't like. The world doesn't owe me anything. Star Wars definitely doesn't owe me anything. But I'm happy I got to enjoy it while I did. Here's just the fact of the matter. The world's a shitty place right now. A lot of bad things are happening to a lot of good people, and a lot of horrible people are being given positions of power, and never seems to stop. Toys is my escape. I'm able to find enjoyment in collecting, and the things I collect fill me with hope and inspiration. Be it discovering just how much I've loved Superman for all this time, finding a new love for Pokemon in my adulthood, always finding out new and exciting parts of Transformers, falling in love with new stuff like My Hero Academia, or even finding something that I love like wrestling just continues to get better as I age. The simple fact of the matter is no one promised me that I would love Star Wars forever. And truth be told, I don't think it'd be healthy to love anything forever. But I'll always love the time I had with Star Wars. And that's enough for me. Maybe one day I'll come back. But maybe I never will. And I guess the only thing I have to tell people is, just because something isn't for you anymore, do you really need to tear it apart and tear everyone who loves it apart? Or is it time to find something new?